Okay, people, question number 19. We're given a picture of a graph that's basically done in pieces. So this is a piecewise function that's been defined to create this graph. You didn't have to graph it yourself. It was provided. Now, what you want to do with this picture is you want to find the domain and you want to find the range. Remember, the way to find the domain of a function that's graphed is to scan from left to right. And the way to find the range of a function that you're given the graph of is to scan from bottom to top, and to write your answers in interval notation. This time it's a little different than increasing, decreasing, and constant. If a point is included in the domain, you put a bracket to show that, and likewise with range. So let's look at the picture. If I am given, come with me, if I am given this graph, and I'm asked to determine the domain, I put my pen vertically and I do a vertical scan. I see that this x value is -8. I scan to -6. It almost looks like there's going to be a gap there, but I find out there's not a gap. This solid hole picks up -6 as my x value. So even though there's a break there, -6 is part of my domain. And I keep scanning all the way over until I get to -2. So this part of the graph, as far as the domain goes, started at -8 and ended at -2. Inclusive, meaning -8 was included, -2 is included, and the reason we weren't worried about this hole is because that hole occurred at -6, but this picked it up. Now there's a gap. So there's no domain values between here and here, but it starts up again at 3 and it ends over here at, let's see how far we go over. It looks like we go over to 8. So the next part of our domain is going to begin at 3 and we scan all the way over to 8. So union from 3 inclusive to 8. So if you're working with the handout sheet that I gave you to study for the test, your correct choice would be option B. Okay? Now, range is a different thing, but the same idea. For range, what we're going to do is we're going to scan from bottom to top. Well, the bottom part of the graph here is at -7. And notice the graph keeps going up. We pick up all these values. Don't worry about the hole because there's many places where the y value becomes that number, which is, I guess, -2. So from -7 we scan all the way to the highest point on our graph, which looks like it's going to be a +7. So our range goes from, let's write it, -7 up to +7 inclusive, and on your worksheet that looks like that would be choice A. Okay.